I don't think there's ever been a more important time than now in the history of humanity right now for humans to understand and utilize this better. Because humans, and I'll put humans here, okay? Humans, and the majority of us humans have not, throughout humanity, throughout the history of humanity, we have not been able to utilize the potential of our brain. In fact, many say it's less than 10%. Less than 10%. So the majority of people use less than 10% of their brain usage. Now think about that. The way I see this, you have in your brain what we call neurons. Neurons are like little workers, and you have 100 billion neurons in your head. Now each little neuron does work. It works for you. One neuron does a little bit of something else. They work as a team, and their goal is to make sure you are fulfilling your goals. So whatever your goal is daily, the neurons work together to make sure you can function as best you can to fulfill your daily commitments and daily process. Now here's the problem. Most people, most humans do not have an ecstatic desire. You may have some goals. You may have, my goal today is to go to work and then come home and watch the football. Okay, that's a goal. But an ecstatic desire, most people don't have. Ecstatic desire is something that brings your body joyful happiness, even when you think about it, and when you start to act towards an ecstatic desire, you become even more happier, and you're alive, and you're functioning at your best, trying to solve any problem that you need to do to get to that desire. In other words, the whole world around you doesn't matter. Everything around you, all the noise, does not matter. It's all about that. But when you get to that point in your life, if you find that point in your life, everything else gets shut down, and you have the goals, you have the problems to get yourself to that desire. When you do that, and people that have managed to do that in their lives, people like Elon Musk, Steve Jobs, Michael Jordan, Kobe Bryant, Nelson Mandela, all these great figures, they utilize more than 10% of their brain, because the brain neurons, you have 100 billion little brain neurons in your head. And think about those little workers in your head wanting to do work. Now, if you give them an ecstatic desire, something they're excited about, and with it comes the problems, because you're always going to have a problem. The higher the desire, the more problems you're going to have. You're not going to have a desire without problems. You can't have a goal without problems. If you are doing something where there's no problems, your desire is not high enough, or it's not exciting enough, because you have to get to that destiny, and that's where you need to take risks. And unfortunately for most humans, through our, I'll call program in our early part of our lives, because the programming through the media has always been negative, through the education system has always been more, here's your information, memorize it for a test, and then we label you into an A student or an E student, and then you self-label yourself. And what happens is it becomes about self-labeling, and it becomes about you then following that type of process in your life. A lot of people come out of the education system living in fear. They come out of the education system being scared to make mistakes, not trying things because they're scared. They always look at what could go wrong instead of everything they can to make sure what could go wrong or doesn't go wrong. Because every time you have a goal and you start thinking about, oh, well, I won't try that. Oh, look, this is not going to work. Or I'm going to have this problem and that problem. That's basically your brain going into comfort zone and saying, you know what do you want to do that for? It's too hard. It's too difficult. And your brain neurons now, what happens is they decline to 9% and they decline to 8%. And as you get older, these neurons start declining for most people because the brain gets bored. And not only that, the neurons that are doing this work, they get bored. And because they know your game, because they know your process, because they know, for the majority of people, 95% of your thoughts are going to be exactly the same the following day, they know that. It means that, hey guys, we know this game now, so this becomes less neurons needed, and they're bored, and that's where you start to die. That's where you start getting diseases. That's where you start getting anxiety and stress, because deep inside, I believe every single human being knows they have some kind of purpose and greatness in them. I know that, and they know that, but a system that self-labeled them in a certain mind, it's almost like you've been programmed in that mindset, and all we need to do is reprogram that. And the way you reprogram that is you change the way you learn. And I've always spoken about deep learning practices. Deep learning practices. And these are simple practices. They're fun practices. They force you to think about your feelings and emotions. AI cannot do feelings and emotions. AI does data. AI does information. We experience things through our feelings and emotions, and then we collect that. And believe it or not, we're kind of updating our own little model in our brain. The problem is, because our model is not deep learning, a lot of the information and experiences that we get as humans, we basically tuck it away, and sometimes we tuck it away never to be seen. And the purpose of deep learning practices is to start utilizing our feelings and emotions so that we can find that ecstatic desire. Because once you find that ecstatic desire, that's 90% of the work. And when you find that ecstatic desire, I always say you master the deep learning practices to then create the vehicle that will drive you to that ecstatic desire. And these neurons, the usage, because what happens is all of a sudden, once you start into action, once you get rid of all this self-label, once you get rid of your relationship with making mistakes or your relationship with failure, once you find this and you start actioning things, gaining new knowledge towards solving a problem that you care about, because the process is about solving problems. And as you solve a problem, your desires are gonna change, and as you solve more problems, you're going to create new desires, and all of a sudden it's like a machine. You've created a new model, and new information and new experiences come in, and you know how to process that, and it all leads to that desire. And we don't use information we don't need. We don't stress about information that's not relevant to us. It's about finding that desire, that ecstatic desire, and working your life to drive towards it, to meet it. And this is how you increase your brain neuron connections. And as you start to get brain neurons excited, as the other brain neurons that haven't been used for start to use and connect with the old neurons, start to team up with them, all of a sudden your brain gets excited, you're healthier, you live longer, you want to do more things, you connect with different people, you make new associations, you make new friendships, and your life starts to change, your actions change, your results change, the people around you change, your discussions change, things just change. And in this AI era, AI, the way I see, does data better than humans. And that's going to continue to rise. They can grab the data and they know exactly how to use it, how to analyze it, how to assess it, how to program it. They can do all that better than humans, but they can't do feelings and emotions. And we have consciousness, we have feelings, we have this connection even when we're not talking. As humans, we don't need a lot of data, but we still have feelings and connections. And this is where I think the future is, where you can master this as a deep learner by reprogramming your own brain, and then with AI combine that and to become a partner with AI. So AI will become your partner, and together create the pathway that they desire. That belongs to you.